Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations in Horror. We want to welcome you to our Halloween special episode as we delve deep into everything horror this month. I hope you've been enjoying our eclectic mix of movies that we've been talking about because we love to do that, and we've never been more eclectic with our choice of movies than we are in this month of October. But to end the month out on this glorious Halloween day, we are doing a double feature episodes focusing on both Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. And this episode is going to focus on the Halloween 5, but that does not mean we may not bring in a little bit of Halloween 4 as we discussed it. And to discuss this film with me, I have Mr. Dave Watkins, who also we talked about part 4, so it's going to be great to talk with him again about part 5, which leads directly from the previous film.
We also covered part six last year, which we're probably going to talk a little bit about part six in this as well, since they're
That's right.
four, five, and six are technically the Thorn trilogy.
Yes.
I guess I don't know if it's technically, it might be loosely technically, but they're ended up that way.
I think that's how I've interpreted it and how I think I've read about people calling it like that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that. And we've been mentioning that. I think we mentioned that in part 6 when we did that one, and in part 4. So for everyone else there, for listening to here now, make sure to check out that previous episode we did last year on part 6, and make sure to check out our part 4 episode that is also available today. So, and if you really want to delve deep into even more Halloween, check out all the other episodes that we've done, which featured Halloween 1 through 3 and Halloween 1 and 2 that Rob Zombie did. So make sure to check those out as well. All right, getting straight into this one, since we've already discussed part 4, this one kind of is directly a sequel to that one because it begins off just like that. And feel free, Dave, we're going to spoil the hell out of this film because I'm assuming a lot of people have seen this film, or at least most people.
I don't, people might have seen it, but I don't know if they remember it because I had to watch it again to remember it. They're definitely going to remember certain parts of it, I think. But
You know what? Remember our discussion about during part 4. I said I've seen these movies way too many times when I was younger. I always assumed people watched movies when I was young as much as I did, and you're absolutely right. I don't think anyone really watches certain movies as many times as I did as a kid. I've probably seen this one 20 times, if not more than that. So, but it was interesting rewatching it with a critical eye for the podcast because there are certain things in it that I now do not like, which I took for granted previously. There's a lot of things in this movie I just don't like now, which is really sad, but
uh,
also interesting.
now, oddly, this one is considered to be one of the worst of the Halloween films. Kind of most people will put Resurrection as their last one, and occasionally you'll see this on a list of the second before last one. Um, the first time I saw it, I didn't see it that way. I thought it was a pretty natural. It was a pretty natural connection flowing from four. Because the time I did watch it, I watched four and five together. I was pretty young. It was on television with commercials, and they seemed a natural fit to go together. There's some stuff that happens in this one that people don't like, and we'll get into it during the course of this. But upon watching it, I watched it maybe a year ago again, and after hearing some shit, people smack talking it, I was like, okay, I could see some problems with it. But upon watching it this time, I appreciated it more. I do like it that they bring Loomis back again, and I think he has more screen time in this one than the fourth one, and he's able to do a little bit more in this one than normally. But there's some stuff that they really made some big mistakes in this one, I think, narratively. But I'll let you start with it.
Well, I'm gonna. Well, we've discussed kind of like you watching the fourth and fifth one together, and I saw this not at the theater, but directly the year it came out because I had already seen the fourth one, and I was dying to see how they continued it after that one. And then even after I saw this one, I was a huge fan of this one as a kid. As a kid, you don't really look at the films critically as you do the entertainment value for the films, and this one was always entertaining to me, especially the way that it ended, because I always wanted to see where it went afterwards. And unfortunately, we had to wait a long time to get part 6 to come around because of the fact that the fifth one didn't do well at the box office. But when you're a kid, you don't know any of that shit. You're waiting
Yeah.
basically for the sequel to come out that just never did for a long.
No. Yeah, you said that yesterday. I don't know. I don't know if it's the movie itself that caused it not to do well at the box office. Because I think this movie does what it's supposed to do. It is a very similar to four as far as slasher elements of it, and it doesn't necessarily let you down when that's concerned, and it does bring the story and some of the stuff forward. But I don't know if it had anything to do with the actual movie why it did bad, because just looking at it, it looks like it works. But what happens next? I mean, what happens next may it really was very divisive to people. This one doesn't go into the thorn as much. It has little clues to it, but
Uh-huh.
it doesn't like dig deep into what people didn't like about making Michael Myers kind of like a mummy character that's being controlled by other people, which they tend not to like that because they want Michael Myers to have his own
Autonomy.
yeah, autonomy and it.
So, you know what? As a kid, this movie hit all the buttons for me for a Michael Myers film. But I also grew up watching all the Jason Voorhees films and the Leatherface films, and of course the Freddy Krueger films. And so, it didn't take much to be for me to
Yeah.
be entertained as a kid. But when I rewatched it for this podcast, the glaring thing that struck out for me is that there is a weird motivation with Michael Myers in this film where for some odd reason he just doesn't kill people when he first meets them. He waits and then he waits again. And I hated that because I could see why he does that with Laurie Strode in the first movie and why he does that with Jamie in the part 4, but in this film he does that with a lot of characters. And for me, I just realized that why does he do that? How does he know where certain characters are in this film when he has never physically met them and he shouldn't know where certain locations are? Like there are certain things in this film that just bugged me this when I was watching it critically, because it would be like the very first killing with Rachel, which we all hate that Rachel died because she was just an amazing presence in the first film. But in this film, there are
The
three.
fourth film that
The
we
fourth film.
it is almost like a reboot of the fourth one was kind of a reboot, and it established Rachel and Jamie, really
Yeah,
the heart of the movie.
yeah, but in this film, he has three opportunities to kill Rachel, but he doesn't. And there's no reason why he doesn't. This is not Jamie. He should just kill her. And that was annoying to me. And it's never been annoying to me before. It's only been annoying now because I start to think about the movie. And then he does the same thing with the Tina character. And I'm like, why? These are not the characters that he's after. So there's no reason for him to more or less play with them for an extended period of time.
So we have a new way of acting from Michael Myers that he hasn't really done previously.
Yeah.
Um, so let's back it up a little bit, and maybe it has something to do with how this movie begins and how. So at the end of the fourth one, he's killed. The
Hmm.
police kill him. He goes into the ground, and it apparently ends up inside of some kind of well-like area. And
Yeah.
this is all new for this film. It shows the scene from the end of the first one, and then he ends up in the well area. He goes down the river. The cops are oblivious, and then he ends up. He's really hurt, and he ends up going to this old guy finds him, and I guess he nurses him to health, or maybe, and he hangs out there for like a year.
Another thing that bothered me, I was
Yeah,
like, why the
yeah,
fuck is he going to keep this stranger who's bloody in his place for a year?
yeah. And how does any of it work? But at the same time, there's some supernatural elements going on here clearly at this point. But yeah, but that's really weird. And then the worst thing like Michael Myers does, which is this is something he does this in Rob Zombie's Halloween with to Danny Trejo's character who's on his side, who's helping him. This he gets up, wakes up a year later on Halloween, and he kills the guy that's been taking care of him
Yeah.
for a year. So I don't know if this is an explanation, but so he's been incapacitated for a year. Maybe he's a little slower than he was before. Maybe he's a little more concerned with getting caught like too quick or having to get shot again too quick, and he's wanting to be a little more careful with what he's doing. That's maybe that's the only explanation I have for why he does those things. But the clear reason why is for narrative. I mean, not that for the audience is suspense.
Yeah.
It builds suspense, and also some goofy thing like him putting on the guy's mask and acting like he's Tina's boyfriend. But he doesn't kill Tina at that scene, and Tina goes into the gas station. He's going to kill her next, but then the cops show up, and then he leaves.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's the same thing with Rachel. It's the cops showing up. I think maybe he's scared of the cops because the cops shot the shit out of him. You know.
When Rachel, the first time he has the opportunity to kill her is when she's in the shower, where there is no idea where there's cops is. But then he follows her down to the kitchen when Loomis calls and tells her to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And he doesn't kill her there.
Yeah.
But he could have killed her there.
Yeah. He's playing a cat and mouse game for some reason that he hasn't done before, I don't think.
Because she leaves the house, the bumbling two cops supposedly come through and check the entire house, but obviously not because Michael Myers is still in the house. How you missed this big guy is beyond me. And then he finally kills her. After he goes to search into the room and sees a picture of Jamie that he busts, and which leads Rachel to go. I'm like, dude. It never dawned on me till I rewatched this for the show. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I never noticed how really drawn out this movie is. And the thing about Tina is just a peripheral death. She should have fucking died the very first time Michael Myers had a chance to kill her and be done with Tina, because she's not important to Jamie at all. At all.
Well, Tina is a very very lively personality, and I think Jamie does like her. Now, the first time we see Tina, Jamie's. I guess we should establish Jamie too in this one. Jamie, at the end of the fourth one, they set up Jamie being the next killer, but they don't do it in this one. That a lot of people were disappointed about.
Yeah, they were disappointed because they thought that that's where the direction was going to go. And one of the things what I did like about this film is that the trauma from the last film has made her so unhinged that she's lost the ability to speak, and she suffers from nightmares. Now I don't know how long she's suffering from nightmares, but it's kind of established with the nurse that keeps coming in that she's had nightmares. But for some reason, this nightmare that opens the movie is like the big one, because at the same time, Michael Myers is twitching back to life in the hermit's lair. And so, and then of course she sees Michael Myers yet again as a peripheral vision type thing. I don't know how it all works, but it's very interesting visually when she has these nightmare sequences throughout the entire film.
Yeah, and they do a connection, Jamie to Michael Myers, so she's able to, like, a psychic connection between. This seems to be working just only towards Jamie. Well, I guess it works towards Michael Myers too. He's able to connect with her as well, it seems like, in certain points. So there's this psychic connection between the two characters that is new to this film. It's kind of hinted at it in the fourth one, and that's another way. That's another way that they brought this film more towards the supernatural aspect. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that stuff, but it is something new to this one, and it does turn some people off. With the further into the supernatural Halloween goes, the more certain people get turned off by the ideas.
I used to be mixed about that, but some of the stuff that Loomis says towards the end, when he's talking like peripherally to Michael Myers, and he's talking about his rage and the fact that Michael thinks that by killing Jamie, he can relieve whatever's controlling him with this rage. And Loomis seems to think that is he's calling him evil, but he's not. He has a reason for being evil because of this weird rage and this connection that he has with his family members. I like that aspect of the story because it makes it much more interesting. And Loomis isn't sprouting, he's just evil. He's just evil. He just needs to die. He's evil.
Right.
There's this hint that Loomis is has figured out this little thing about Myers over the years, that whatever rage is controlling him is connected with his family members, and that he might have a solution, but he has to, it has to deal with Jamie, and that he doesn't have to kill Jamie. Jamie may have that key to helping him figure out the whole rage. I like that. I like that aspect of it.
It is, yeah. I mean, I feel like in this one, Loomis does kind of use his therapist like stuff more than the other films, and that's how it kind of, in a way, always should have been. But he does it never works, but he does try to use it,
Mhm.
pretty effectively in this one near the end of it. But
Like you said, Loomis gets a lot more screen time in this, and this is different from the other films because he interacts with Jamie a lot in this film, whereas in the previous films he didn't interact with Jamie that much, and he didn't interact with Laurie Strode in the first two movies that much.
right,
This one he interacts with Jamie all the time. I
what's
actually,
yeah, yeah, it's actually hilarious. It's hilarious. It's also funny that so Jamie's in this like child like psychiatry type of place. And Loomis is hanging out there all the time, and he's keeping an eye on her, and he's kind of almost like a kind of being a father figure, but in an overbearing type of way because he's
Mhm.
also got his own thoughts on it. He's hanging out there waiting for Halloween, but he is in her life, and now the first time that's what I was going to say. That's where I was getting at earlier with Tina. So Tina comes to her window, knocks on the window, comes in with a dog, and she's just very like it's got a lot of energy. Very like is a person that leaves an impression on a child, especially like Jamie Lloyd, who this person who's just got so much life and so much energy and all this going on. So it does leave an impression on her. And she might not. She is Rachel's friend. Now Rachel's the one she has a connection with. That's her stepsister, but she doesn't necessarily not. She does have. She does have a relationship with Tina in a way, just because she likes her energy, I think.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that scene is like they bring the dog in there, and then Loomis comes into the room, and he's like, "What is this?" He's acting like a father figure, like why would he care? Like they brought a dog into the clinical area, and he's like, "Get out with that dog," you know.
Well, he doesn't say anything. He
Yeah,
just says, "What is this?" And
yeah,
the girls look down on themselves, like, "Okay, it's time to go."
yeah.
Daddy's here. He saw the dog. We need to leave now. And the thing is, I actually do like the Tina character a little bit. I hate what they do with her with the scenes without Jamie. I think the scenes with Jamie are much stronger than the scenes with her and her boyfriend Mikey, or the scenes with her and her friends Samantha and Spitz, um, because those scenes make her seem like just any other teenager
Yeah.
out there. Whereas the ones with Jamie, she actually has like she actually is like a surrogate to Rachel after Rachel dies, and it's effective. But then she spends more time with her friends, and that kind of ruins those moments for me. Uh,
It's yeah. I mean, I think it's bad that Rachel dies. I think everyone can agree with that. Even like I think the producer said he screwed up with that. And what we talked about yesterday with that is that Rachel dies because they wanted you to think anybody could die in the movie. So they often do that in these films, and people is always leaves a bad taste in the mouth if they kill
mhm,
off the wrong character. Because it's like you kill off some characters, it's fine, but then you kill off the wrong character, then you've got a hole,
yeah.
like a hole, like a really big hole in your movie where the heart was, and it's in some ways could kill the film.
That's a good way of putting it, where the heart was for a lot of characters. And I think that's why so many people love the fourth film as opposed to this film. Because there's a lot of heart there with the Jamie and Rachel character, and this one it's lost when they kill her. I think you're actually right. I think that's a good way of putting that.
And then the Tina character, I mean, if they had switched the characters out and had Tina die first, like where Rachel dies, and have Rachel do kind of what Tina does throughout the film, which Tina eventually she does seem to die. I'm pretty sure she dies, even
She
though
does
it's kind of
die.
unclear.
I
But
didn't think I thought up until I rewatched it, I didn't think she died. I didn't think she died. But when you see her on the gurney, her foot and her hand are just leaning right off. And if
yeah,
you're a medical, what do you call it? EMT.
medical professional.
Yeah, EMT. If she's alive, you wouldn't let her hand and her freaking foot just off, lay off the freaking gurney. And I think that, and it just never dawned on me before that. But because the way they shot her death, it didn't seem like she died. She just
Yeah.
got stabbed and she might be alive. But the way they positioned her on the gurney makes her seem like she's just another piece of meat on the gurney when they're taking her off.
It could have, yeah. I mean, it could have gone either way if they wanted to bring her back, and they could have done it. I think if people would have accepted it, fine. But they could have had that. I mean, it probably would have. I mean, if Rachel dying further into the film would have been better than her dying like so early.
Mhm.
And that's one thing about the scenes earlier in the film where it kind of drags it out a little bit. It's nice to see more of Rachel, and because and that's as a suspense thing. Watching it the first time, you're like, is she going to die or is he not going to kill her? And then oh, okay, she's safe. And then boom, she's not safe. And that was like, as a first time audience watch, that was the idea behind that. Upon like rewatching it, like we are talking about, we're kind of annoyed about it because it takes up a lot of time in the first act of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, most of the time, like we've talked about, when they kill off a beloved character at the beginning of a sequel, it's usually in the first 5-10 minutes. But in this film, it's dragged on. You're right.
And this, I mean, it's nice to see her a little bit longer, but
Oh yeah.
it's still like is a I mean, yeah, it is what it is, and we get to move on from it, and really like what there's some pretty good stuff in this film. I really like Danielle Harris's stuff. I like Donald Pleasance's stuff.
Yep.
And even there's a lot of good. The mask looks good in this one. It looks a little bit better than the fourth one. It's a little bit different mask,
Yeah,
and
but
they show Michael Myers more in this one.
yeah, well, yeah, they show him a whole hell of a lot more.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I don't like any of the extra characters. I don't like the Samantha or Spitz or Mikey character. They're all annoying to me.
yeah.
So
That Spitz especially is annoying. That I like Samantha a little bit. I think she's hot, but the actress playing her. But
they don't give her anything to do. Like,
there's a really cool sequence in the barn with those characters, but that Spitz character is really annoying. That
it,
that character is really ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous now to me because I rewatched the movie and I forgot that we're supposed to believe that this is Samantha and Spitz's first time having sex.
You think
And
it's the first time? I guess is
yeah,
it
it
the first
is
time?
because that's how they mentioned it. They mentioned it, when Tina and Samantha are having their conversation. They're talking about when she's gonna do it with Spitz for the first time,
Oh, I got
and then of
you.
course he's having a little bit of a trouble putting the condom on in the barn. And so because she wants to have it special, she's gonna use Rachel's sheets in her bed because they're made out of silk and shit. I didn't pay any attention to this shit when I was
Yeah,
young and
yeah,
watched it 20 times. I only paid attention to it now when I'm watching
yeah.
it critically. I'm like, they're a bit old to be they're a bit old to be doing this shit for the first time. And I'm like, huh.
Well,
That's
I guess yeah, they're old, they're younger than they look. But the way that now here's what the Spitz character does, and we were talking about Mike before this, but the Mike character is hilarious. But the Spitz character is is like Samantha's boyfriend, but he's really like ridiculously immature. I'm not sure
yeah.
why she thinks that what he does is attractive. If I did that shit, or when I did that type of shit when I was in high school, it did not work in my favor for with women. You know, they were not like wanting to have sex with me if I did anything that fucking dumb. But he actually dresses up like Michael Myers, and they come out there, and the cops are about to shoot him because he's playing some gag, like, and then he keeps like acting like he's Michael Myers again, and he even scares Samantha, and she
Yeah.
like legitimately thinks he's Michael Myers at some point, and he pulls off the mask and starts cracking up, and it's like, and then she still wants to have sex with him anyway. So,
Yeah, that's why I said those characters were annoying to me, and they've never been annoying to me before because I just never gave it much thought. But
yeah,
when
well,
I
it's just
gave it,
not realistic though with the way it's written, you know.
well, nah, but it's kind of like the two bumbling cops. I like the two bumbling cops not because they're so different from the cops in any one of the sequels of this
Yeah,
franchise because they admit that they're not really good cops and they have
yeah.
their own theme music when they show up on screen and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed
You
that.
like that part? Yeah.
I
I thought
do.
like
There's a lot of people who
yeah.
don't. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
I've heard who hate that. I
Yeah.
actually like that in the
I
movie.
think I don't know. I thought it was a little much the theme music. I like the cops, but I thought like it was so on the nose.
Yes.
It actually has some cartoon sounding
Yeah.
music the first time you see them, and it's like we can see that they're dumb without the music. You know? Yeah.
I don't know if they're dumb or just like immature, like the rest of the teenage characters. I
Yeah.
see them as immature because when they're out at the Tower Farms watching after Tina, they're out there playing games in the squad car.
Yeah, they start playing Crazy Eights.
Yeah, Crazy
Yeah.
Eight. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saw them being young cops, in a
Right.
small town, Haddonfield, who unfortunately, if, they don't never mention this, but almost all the police force was killed in the last movie, so they had to start all
Yeah,
over
yeah,
within a year. You think that they'd be a little bit more serious for Halloween because of the stigma of Halloween in their town, but I can appreciate that because unfortunately, one of the cool moments at the very beginning of the movie that doesn't pan out for anything in this movie is the fact that the people who are afraid of Jamie throw a rock through the window early on in the film and calling her evil child and bullying her. And unfortunately, we don't see that anywhere else in the rest of the movie. It's a really cool concept that just doesn't pan out anywhere. Uh,
yeah.
and I wish that had more into the movie itself because it's something that they could have ran with. You're in a town who it's only been a year since the last fucking massacre, and no one in the town except for Meeker registers that at all. It's like they've all forgotten that it's only been a year since Michael Myers massacred so many people in that town. It's like,
Yeah.
is that
Sheriff Meeker,
yeah,
this character.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I never thought about it before before I rewatched it. And those are the things that take me out of the movie now, as opposed to when I was a kid and I didn't give a shit about all the nuances and stuff like that. But it's those aspects that I'm guaranteeing you when the film came out bugged people. I you
I
know
mean, yeah, maybe it bugged people, but maybe it, when you're watching the film, they don't want to like dwell. They don't want to like dwell on stuff and make it bog it down with like unnecessary emotion. I think it's what they think, but I get what you're saying. But they want to. I think sometimes they don't want that to hamper the way the plot moves forward.
I
So
don't know. The Halloween films are odd bunch because for a huge chunk of them, you have two different stories. You have the story with the teenagers and the slasher aspects with Michael Myers, and then of course you have the kind of more cop procedural stuff with Loomis and whichever sheriff was alive at the time.
yeah,
I think it is not balanced in this film. Because Loomis spends so much time with the Jamie character in this film. And so like Bo Starr's character is in this film a whole hell of a lot less than he was in the last one. Um,
right. But it's funny though, like when he's up there with Jamie, and he's like, and she starts having those psychic visions, and he's just like so like fixated. Like Loomis is like
yes.
intense. Yeah, he's intense and he's obsessed. And then he actually has another nurse come in there and tells him to leave the little girl alone.
Hmm.
How the bad thing to hear that. It's like leave the little girl alone. And it's like shit. What am I doing? It's
It's an
but
obsession with following evil for so long.
yeah, yeah. And he's
Uh,
tuned into this thing.
well, also keep in mind that Loomis is probably the only person who still believes Michael did not die down the well when they threw the explosives down there and thought they killed him. Loomis is the only one who never believed that Michael Myers was gone because he doesn't know how to kill Michael Myers. Although it's really odd to say that he doesn't know how to kill Michael Myers, and then of course he says towards the end, "I have a way to stop him," but
Yeah.
that's not a really good way. His way is just to incapacitate him when we all know he should just chop his head off.
Loomis is always coming up with some oddball plan in these films. And he tries to get the cops on board with it, and the cops eventually get tired of it, and they end up going and doing something else. It's
Yeah,
like Yeah, he always has a fucking odd, really weird plan. But I mean, the plan may have worked. It actually does. It does work in this film,
It does work
but
in this
yeah,
film.
it does. It does work in a way, but then there's something unexpected happens, which we'll get to later on. I don't think we should say talk about it yet. But this Tina's boyfriend Mike, the greaser guy with his car.
Yeah,
You said
obsessed.
you said you don't like that shit, right?
I think the actress who plays Tina, for life of me, I can't think of her name. I think she does a good job balancing the.
So the actress's name is Wendy Kaplan,
Thank you.
credited as Wendy Foxworth.
She does a good job balancing off the fact that she cares about this little girl that's in a hospital because she has nightmares and she's linked to this serial killer, and being this fun and frivolous teenager who has the rough and tumble bad boy boyfriend who she likes to have sex with in the car rather than in the bed. I think.
Well, that's definitely a male fantasy there, not usually the women.
Yeah, I know. But I
Not
think
very convenient to be able to do it in the car.
I think she does a real the actress does a really good job with portraying that type of character, because that scene where after the cops have picked her up from the gas station and she goes to see Jamie, and she leaves Jamie because unfortunately for the audience she only wants to think about sex. And she has her few words with Loomis saying that I wish I wrote down the exact wording. Um,
But I know what scene you're talking about. Yeah, she says something and it's like so like kind of like screw you, get out of my
yeah,
way, like all like completely like not seeing the gravity of the situation
yes,
and just like leaves and it
she
I
plays
guess
it well.
yeah.
Well,
I mean the character is frustrating. This character, this Tina character is a character that a lot of people really despise.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I think she does a good job with it. I wouldn't mind seeing the character again, but it's definitely a very it's a character that is hard to it almost seems like there's two different personalities with
Yes,
that character that are conflicting with each other. There's like the character that you see with Jamie and with Loomis a little bit, and then you got the character who's like able to put up with this abuse from this dickhead boyfriend,
yeah,
but on the other hand has this personality that wants everybody to see her and wants all the attention.
yeah. Which you see when she's trying, when she says, when she's at the Tower Farm party, and Mikey's not there, and she doesn't give two shits because she thinks that he left her at the gas station.
Yeah,
And so she's just living it up because it's the greatest party there ever is. Uh,
yeah,
but the thing is, they also go back to that Tinder type of Tina that likes Jamie, and it feels for Jamie, because you go back to the barn sequence, and the first thing she does is her and Samantha love these little kittens that they find in the barn
yeah.
strays. And it makes it feel a little bit more humbling, or much more empathetic, when she obviously says that she doesn't even know why she's there because she doesn't like cats. But those cats are like Jamie, as I see it. That she
Yeah.
can't.
That's good. It's a good analogy.
I do. And that's how I have to put that scene in there, because if that without that kind of connection, that little metaphor, that little connection between her and Jamie, her and the kittens, there would be no reason to have the fucking kitten scene in there. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of odd.
I
Um,
thought the kid scene was odd too. I like that analogy though.
yeah, I had to come up with something to
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm thinking about this movie as I'm rewatching it, and I'm like, how does all this fucking movie connect? I have to visually try to figure this stuff out, because there has to be a reason why the filmmaker decided to make these choices and these decisions in this movie, because it's so different from the previous movie. Like the way Michael Myers acts in this movie is so different, in my opinion, from what he does in the previous movies, that I had to find some connection. I still don't think I found a good connection for why Michael Myers just doesn't kill certain people right off the bat, and just yeah, that's just weird to me. It's like he can be at the clinic right now killing Jamie, but for some reason the whole movie is about him doing a long tangent to kill other people before making his way back to the clinic. And it's very odd to me. because he even
Yeah.
goes, yeah, it's just very odd to me.
Well, yeah, I guess it's when once you give a specific reason why he's doing things, like the Curse of the Thorn, which is shown in this film on Michael Myers on later on in The Man in Black. The the way that they eventually say it's supposed to work is like on Halloween Eve, that person has to kill his whole family, and that's kind of what they're supposed to do because of the Curse of the Thorn. But none of that makes any sense when he's going around killing like everybody who's connected to that person, not just the person themselves, but everybody, like the stepsister, the stepsister's friend, the stepsister's friend's boyfriend,
Yeah.
and so on. So yeah, I mean, if you think about it too hard, you're gonna end up with that kind of roadblock. It's like this shit don't make sense, but it's like so you can't explain it in a way that's gonna make sense
Yeah.
with the curse of the thorn analogy and what he's supposed to be doing and what he does instead of what he's supposed to be doing. So
Well, the thing is with the original Halloween, or let's say more like Halloween 2 and Halloween 4, as Michael Myers logically makes his move from one place to the next, he never gets to Jamie Lloyd, but he's kind of like following behind where she's been.
I mean, Laurie Strode, you're in
Well, in the
yeah.
original one it's Laurie Strode, but in Halloween
Yeah.
4 it's
Oh, Hollywood 4, I got you. Yeah,
uh but in this one, like it could have been real easy for him to just go straight to the horse's mouth and kill her, and then but these tangents seem really out of place for me. Now, the Curse of the Thorn thing, obviously, by the time Part 6 comes around, and the filmmakers are trying to piece together what they know and what they can ascertain from this film, they kind of try and come up with reasoning for everything, and that's what we get. What we get. But backtracking that logic to this film doesn't always work, like you just said. But it's interesting to talk about stuff like that because the Curse of Thorn is the first thing we see on Michael Myers' hand when he resurrects. We see the tattoo. It's the very first thing we see is that Curse of
yeah.
Thorn.
It's
Uh,
the first time we see it in the series. We've never seen it
yeah,
before, and
no,
it
which is cool. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong, it's cool. We don't know what the fuck it means in this movie, to be honest with you, and we don't know what it means with the Men in Black, who gets off a bus halfway through the movie, and then he follows or doesn't follow. I don't really know how he
Well, he gets off the bus and he goes to Myers's house.
yeah, he ends up at certain locations at the
Yeah,
same time that say Loomis is there or Michael Myers is there because he shows up at the Tower Farms when Michael Myers drives up.
yeah.
Which I never noticed before. It just dawned on me that's what happens. So what is exactly motivation to go to these locations? How does he even know to go to these locations? It's one of those things like, how does Michael Myers know how to drive the Tower Farms if he's never been there?
Yeah.
It's one of
Well,
those things
yeah.
where I can understand why he knows how to drive a car because he's been driving a car without actually learning since the very first movie. Um, you know, uh,
Yeah, he's got some kind of internal GPS that's
he's got
convenient
internal
convenient
GPS.
for the script. It's convenient for the script, but I'll tell you though, the first time I saw this film, like that scene where the man in black gets off the bus, and then Loomis goes to the Myers house. It was like so intriguing to me, just the idea of not knowing who that was,
Oh yeah.
and the fact, and then Loomis goes to the Myers house. He's scouting it out, and that guy's in the house hiding. I don't something about all that was so that was like way before they even made six when I saw this film, and it was like I really liked the mystery behind the Man in Black. I was like, that's very intriguing to me. It's like a character who is on Michael Myers' side. You know that by the end of the film, but it's like, but you don't know exactly what's going on with it.
Oh, dude, when I saw this film and I that's how they ended it, I was dying for part six. I was like, dude, where the fuck is part six at? I need to see that now. I need to know what the heck is going on. Who is this man in black? How did
Yeah,
he help Michael Myers escape? What's next? And of course, we had to wait, 7 years because they didn't
yeah,
know how to make a sequel and it went development hell because there was the Halloween 666 and there was other versions of Halloween and it was in development hell for so damn long before we actually got the Curse of Michael Myers. And we all know from stories that the filmmakers had to come up with a logical explanation of how to continue the story after that one. And even part 6 doesn't really have a logical explanation to it.
Well, there's that, the producer's cut actually over explains it in a way that's not that it's just, I mean, there is an explanation, but it doesn't it's just too much like shoved down your throat.
Yeah, I don't think there's a logical explanation to adequately and satisfy audience members why the hell Jamie Lloyd, who's grown up, has had a Michael Myers as child. There is no logical explanation for that. That was just something weird. That's always going to just be weird.
Yeah, that went really in a different direction than anybody would expect. If that Hays Code was around at the time, that never would have happened.
But that being said, this one has different set pieces, and I do like going back to the Myers house. The Myers house is a cool location, and I do think that the sequence at the end, when Loomis has obviously, from his earlier visit there, has been thinking about ways to capture Michael Myers, and he thinks the only way to get that he can control where to find Michael Myers adequately and consistently is to get him to go to his own home.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, that's a cool set in this film that really plays in. This film's an hour and 37 minutes long. And the last like maybe 17 or 20 minutes of this film is friggin' fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, cat and mouse inside of that house, and just like that part is so good.
Yeah, it's extremely well done, and stuff doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, because that whole house is freaking crumbling under itself. Charlie, the deputy, the cop, thinks that he can just lower the ladder down and get Jamie out the window when Michael Myers is in the house, but the whole ledge fucking falls apart. It's those type of moments there that you get it creates some great suspense in this for this last 30 minutes, and two, you get to see this location so well because Jamie running through this house, getting stuck in the laundry chute, having to get back up the laundry chute. I mean, there's just some amazing cinematography.
That laundry chute sequence is really great. Like,
it is,
because she goes down it and then he's there. He's like, she went down it. I'm just going to go down to the other end of the fucking thing. And then he takes out a knife and starts stabbing it into the thing. And then she actually uses the knife to be able to climb up the laundry chute,
Yeah,
but that's pretty intense there. And then he's like looks up the laundry chute. And he's like, "Oh shit, she got away,"
So, and that's where the movie is the strongest. Is that sequence at the end, and it's really cool because and this is another weird motivational thing in this movie is with Loomis. Loomis is actually using her. Now we don't usually see Loomis using other people the way he uses her in this movie, and she doesn't know everything. Like Loomis purposely in sequence at the Myers house, after the cops have left, have been called away because of Myers' little stunt at the clinic. He knows that Myers orchestrated that so that he can come into the house and without the cops being there. And Loomis is playing right into Myers' hands, or Myers is playing into his hands. We're not 100% sure, really, to be honest with you. But
either way, there's this one cop in the room with Jamie, played by Troy Davis.
Great character actor.
Yeah, great actor, and he's in The Frighteners and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Really recognizable, and he has a pretty great scene here in this. A few pretty great scenes, but he is like he seems to be a pretty nice cop, and then like Loomis is like, he set a trap and he's using Jamie as bait, and the cop's like not into it, but it's too late. Myers is there, and there's nothing that can be done about it at that point.
Yeah, which is actually quite. I don't know if I like this or not because you mentioned Myers gets there because he kills the cop at the clinic, takes his car, and then drives it almost drunkenly into the other cop car that's right outside. I thought that was kind of stupid. When I rewatched the film, like Myers wouldn't drive it; he just drive it like normal. Like, why would he orchestrate driving a swerving car? It didn't make any sense to me. None made no sense to me when I rewatched the movie. I was like, that's an odd choice. I would just think Myers would just drive it straight into the other cop car and let that be it.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
guess he's in the damn car, but luckily, I guess for Myers that he can handle a car crash and not get knocked out. Yeah. So,
well, it depends. You know, he was in a car crash earlier when he ran into a tree. It took him
yeah, yeah.
moments to
Yeah,
adjust.
yeah. It's true. It's true.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, everything up to that point is also, is great. I mean, in the third act is great. Stuff that's leading up there is kind of questionable. But with Myers, you kind of think that he's smarter than a lot of other people because he orchestrates an event at the clinic with all the other people to get the cops away, and instead of going straight to the Myers his own house like Loomis told him to do. Like, you wonder how smart this guy is when he doesn't even utter a single word in this film.
Well, I think there is this like a psychic connection between him and Jamie, and he knows that if he goes after Billy, who's her friend, that she'll sense it, and that's what brings the cops there because she senses it, and then they all leave.
Well, that's something you're inferring because there's not a scene in the entire movie that says that Michael Myers has any connection with his niece. It's the niece that has a connection with him. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you never they never show that it's a two-way street ever in this movie.
But
It
yeah,
almost seems completely one way.
well,
Uh,
I agree. I agree. It doesn't show it, but I think that it almost would have to be for anything to make sense in the film. So it's
in a film where a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense.
yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is like we were saying when we were watching it for the first time. We're really digging into it
Yeah.
in a way that there's a lot of things that aren't logical. But like I think that watching it the first time, it's like you don't know what's going on,
No, no.
and you're trying to like figure out what's going on, and it's like it is a mystery involved with this, and there's intentional mysteries, but there's also this is a slasher film, so you're there to see these kills, which there's a pretty good one with that pitchfork through Spitz, or what's his name, Spitz?
Fits.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool sequence when he puts that pitchfork through that guy. But I think I mean I'm all for digging into it. I like digging into shit and making fun of it and just taking about the logic. But I think that part of first watching this film and why I think it was fine the first time we watched it is like we weren't like hadn't seen the movie yet, so like we didn't know the ending or what happens and how it got from A to B, and like there's no explanation about how he knew this. So
No, well, that's the thing about, and I've said this on previous episodes before. It's the thing of that's the difference between watching these films when they first came out, and I was a kid when I saw these films, versus watching them now when I'm a grown up and I've gone through film classes and I critique and analyze films. And when you're a kid, you kind of wonder why certain people don't like films that you absolutely loved, and then when you get older, you realize, oh shit, it's not that good. Good God, yeah, it's not nearly as good as I thought it was when I was a kid. Whereas certain films that are universally loved and liked still stand the test of time. This is one of those films that when I was a kid, like I said, I fucking loved this movie when I was a kid, and I was dying to see what happens in the sixth film. But after getting part six, I wasn't dying about seeing what happened anymore. And then of course uh now I don't like a lot of this movie anymore. I don't like it. I already reserved myself to probably not watching the part five for a while again. I can watch part four any day of the week and still be entertained, and it has some great moments in it and everything like that. This movie is kind of like what we were previously talked about, just a little bit touched upon with Nightmare on Elm Street Part Five, in which I love the cinematography in Part Five, but there's a lot of shit in Part Five I hate of Nightmare on Elm Street. And this one, Part Five, I love the cinematography in that last half of this movie, and there's a lot of shit in this movie I just don't like. Um, And that's not to say it's a horrible movie. We just have to look at Halloween Resurrection to see how bad the franchise really can get.
Yeah, yeah,
We just have to look at that. Another film where they killed off the main character at the killed off Laurie Strode at the very beginning, which
yeah.
angered everyone. Like
You're
I don't
right.
think that anyone liked the beginning of that fucking movie. Uh, there was no redeeming qualities in that film after they killed her off in the first 10 minutes of that film. But I think with this one being an '80s film, uh, we have some we forgiveness for '80s films. We have like an innate forgiveness for '80s films because they're a product of this decade that has some of the greatest horror movies ever made. It also has a lot of completely forgotten horror movies of the that have ever been made. So I think that's and this came at the very end of the '80s, so we kind of lump it in there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't feel like 80s. This movie doesn't feel like 80s to me. It is
It
89.
feels like it feels like a '90s movie.
Yeah.
It feels like a '90s movie.
But it's like you look at, say, you take part one of this Halloween franchise, and there's not like it's just it kind of invented the slasher film in a way, even though there was Black Christmas before that and a few others, but it really catapulted the whole slasher franchise. Here we are, like was 11 years into it,
Mhm.
and this one is a slasher film, but they try to they don't even go that they still try to keep things somewhat subtle with what they're trying to do with the building like a certain, yeah, like the curse of the thorn, and the other items like the psychic link between Jamie and Michael Myers, but they don't go too big with them. But the fourth one is it's a return to form
Yeah.
for the franchise. So this one they didn't know they in some ways did what they did in four again in some sequences, but then on top of but then they try to push it in a different type of direction that audiences just didn't want to go.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. And the thing is, I don't think that the filmmakers behind these sequels knew where audiences wanted to go. I mean, part four was coming after part three, which had nothing to do with the franchise. And I think the only thing people knew was that people were dissatisfied with it not having Michael Myers. And so the safe bet would be to make a film as close to the original as possible as a sequel of
Yeah,
Michael Myers. But when you do a sequel to that, you want to do something different. Like second Halloween 2, most of it takes place in the hospital.
yeah,
It's very different. There's no babysitting in that movie like there was in the first one. The dynamic is completely different in the second movie. I think that with this one, they tried something different again, because I think it's innate for all of us, whether we're watching or making sequels to slasher movies, that we want to do something different with each one. You're watching the Jason Voorhees sequels, and each one of them does something slightly different, and they don't know if they're doing something right and they're doing something wrong until people watch it and you have a reaction. People didn't like the fifth one; it didn't have Jason Voorhees, so what they do?
yeah,
They brought Jason Voorhees back
yeah.
in part
Right,
six.
right, yeah, yeah.
And then what did they do after part six? They add a site. What is her? She has telekinetic powers. Something you're
Yeah.
not expecting to have in a freaking Jason
Well,
Voorhees movie.
yeah, with after part four. But after part six, they actually did what they should have done was bring Jamie Lee Curtis back for the H2O.
Yeah, yeah, that was and that was definitely a 2000s movie. I believe
I believe so, yeah. It's probably
yeah.
early 2000.
So you had the young hot actors with the great poppy soundtrack, and yeah, you had all that great stuff in there. I think that's the one where KMB did the mask for that one. I think that's the one they did the mask for. Don't kill me, Halloween fans, if I get this one wrong. So you're they're putting a little money into Halloween H20. They have Kevin Williamson, who is hot off of Scream, developing the script, the story, anyways. It was written by someone else, and then you had, I think, a Stephen Miner who directed that one.
I'm not sure on that. I hadn't watched it in a while, but
I used to know all this stuff hardcore. Um, but sometimes you forget this stuff when you're too busy
watching
watching.
100 other things.
Uh, but Steve Miner, yes, Steve Miner
It was him. Yeah.
has done so many great horror films. You're not getting some first time or some no name person to do this. They're putting out all the stops. This was a high profile sequel there. You know,
Yeah. I mean, they really did it right with H2O, and then they completely ruined all that with Resurrection. It's like it's such an odd thing that they did. And in a way, they kind of ruined this one with the fourth one with this in a
yeah,
way.
yeah. And part six, as much as people like the dog part six. I do remember the year that part six came out. The weekend it came out, it was number one at the box office. But unfortunately for everyone out there, the movie still made less than $10 million in its first weekend out there. So that's not
Yeah.
bragging rights too much, but it was the number one movie for that one week it came out. But it dropped really fast because it had bad reviews and audiences didn't like it. And then it dropped really fast.
Yeah, I like sixth one, but I mean it is a little divisive for fans for sure.
Because
Yeah.
it is a weird film, and
Yeah.
it's a weird film that tries to be Halloween with something else, and
Right.
sometimes it works. And I think that had Donald Pleasance been able to finish the entire movie and it not end the way it did, I guarantee you it would have had a different reaction. It's just unfortunate that what happened
Yeah.
happened, and they filmmakers had to come up with an ending. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
that because there are certain things in that movie, just like there's certain things in this movie that are very creative. I mean, I like what they did with the Man in Black in the part six with the actor. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on the actor's name who plays Win. Oh god,
Yeah, I mean the thing is like that guy was in Dark Shadows
such a
and
great actor,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
can't remember
it's
his name to save my life.
geez, I
But
can't I know his name
I
actually.
know his
He's
name
yeah,
too.
uh I don't yeah, if you like, that happens to me all the time when people say they don't remember the name, but he played Burke Devlin in Dark Shadows in the original Dark Shadows television series.
Um, but he's so oh
He's also in Hot
Mitchell
Tub
Ryan.
Drifter.
Jesus,
Mitchell
Mitchell Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah,
I have to
yeah,
look him
yeah.
up. But
Yeah.
the movie also had, I think, it was Paul Rudd's first movie as well. And
Yeah, this is
I always loved Paul Rudd in this film because he always seemed like he was overacting and overreacting because some of his looks on his face are so priceless in that movie. It's kind of like you're watching this movie, part five, and some of the looks that these teenagers give you from the Sam and the Mike and even Spitz, who is the most immature character I think in any of these Halloween movies. Their looks are very genuine, especially with Tina. Like I said, her interactions with Loomis when she's leaving the clinic are just freaking priceless. They work for me.
yeah. It's like an immature character's fine. I like that, but I don't like it when the immature character gets the hot girl. Yeah, 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 because it's like that. It doesn't work that way. You know, it's like the girl thinks it's hot that he's like acting like such a friggin' idiot.
No, for this movie, I'll have to agree with you on that one. For this movie, I will agree with you. I will not like say that, nah, nah. For this movie, it does seem really fucking immature. That this will say it, this hot blonde is crazy in love for this kid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
And that, yeah, and then her to think that he's actually really Michael Myers for like a good 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden go from being terrified, thinking she's about to die for real, to like, okay, let's have sex, like within a few seconds. So it's like,
oh Jesus, oh my God, yeah. So
But
we're harping on this, everyone who's listening to the show.
yeah, yeah,
But we're gonna switch gears and get back to Donald Pleasance and Loomis, because I really want to talk to you about why Loomis thought that, you know, a big chain
oh yeah,
was going to weigh down and be the demise of Michael Myers. You get the sense that all these movies, Loomis is trying to find a way to kill Michael Myers, but in this film, his modus operandi is just to capture him. Yet, when he has Michael Myers in the net and has shot him several times with the tranquilizer gun, he's beating them with a board from the house and saying,
yeah,
"Die,
yeah,
die!"
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, "But everything you did is not trying to kill Michael Myers. So why are you trying to kill him with a piece of wood? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
you just
yeah.
shot
That's
him a
true.
million times."
He does say die, and then he has a stroke after that.
Yeah, he has a
Yeah,
stroke. It fall. I do like the fact that his obsession with Michael Myers ends up causing him to have a stroke and fall on top of Michael Myers. I
yeah.
actually like that.
And,
Uh,
and until part six came out, you didn't know if Loomis survived this film or not. You didn't know. Uh,
no, I assumed he died. When I was a kid and I saw this movie and I was waiting for part six to come out, I assumed he died until they brought him back for the new movie. I don't. When you're a kid, you don't think too much about like the possibilities really of what could be in the sequel. You're dying to see what the sequel is going to be. Like I've told everyone about this when my experience between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I was fucking wanted to kill someone to know what happened at the end of Evil Dead when Ash went to the freaking Middle Ages. I was like, where the hell is part three? Damn it!
yeah.
I was waiting years for that shit, just like I
Well,
was waiting years to see Halloween 6.
they
Just
delivered pretty good with that Evil Dead one though.
Evil Dead, yeah,
Yeah,
delivered
yeah.
it was good, and I was first person in the theater to be, yeah.
It's-
Yeah, when we everyone who's listening, when we actually talk about the movie Army of Darkness, I will get all fucking nerdy and shit on that motherfucking movie when we talk about it, because I got a story for everyone about that movie. But I did not see part five. I've never seen part five in the theater, which is sad because I would love to see it on the big screen. I wish I'd seen the 4K version when they did it.
yeah.
When they did the 4K version of part four and five, I only saw part four in the theater. I did not see part five. I wish I had seen both of them, because I do think that for me as a film lover and watcher, watching these movies at the theater, a big screen with lots of people who really appreciate these movies, is a grand experience that I absolutely love. It can be a bad movie, and my appreciation of that bad movie is even greater than it would if I sat home and watched the movie.
This I do have the 4K version. I didn't see it in the theater, but the 4K looks really good on this
Yeah,
film, as it does on the fourth one. But it looks really, I think it probably looks a little better on this one than it does on the fourth one.
yeah. That's why I see, and that's why I told you I might upgrade those.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, these older movies like this, I absolutely want to see on 4K. I don't know if I need to see a part six in 4K, to be honest with you. I believe part four and five part four looked amazing when I saw that in the big screen. I was fucking flabbergasted by that one.
Yeah.
I wish I had seen the fifth one. And I have never seen the third one on the big screen. I wish someone would do something with that motherfucker so I could watch that on the big screen. I would.
Which one did you say?
The third one, Season of the Witch. I would
Oh
love
yeah,
to see that in the theater.
yeah.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
one's that one's awesome. But
it's
this
awesome.
yeah. I guess just to touch on a scene we didn't really talk about, which I think is hilarious. Tina's boyfriend Mike, who's like into his car, and then he's talking to Spitz outside, and then he's like, he's going to pick up some beer in the back. He goes back to the back, and he's like, the guy's like a real douchebag. He's like tells Tina not to touch his car or whatever. He goes back there, and then he gets the beer, and he's about to leave, and then Michael Myers all of a sudden takes out this garden tool and scrapes it across his car, and then he gets out to like confront Michael Myers, and then Michael Myers just kills him. But it's pretty hilarious. It's so ridiculous.
It is, but it for me it goes with the tone, like with the cops, the music
Yeah,
is
yeah,
floaty for the. I think that, and the visually speaking, this movie is a very dark movie. A lot. It looks great in my opinion, which is why even in the barn scenes and everywhere else, it looks great. But it's a dark movie, and so these scenes of levity are it helps the movie. The cops, that whole thing about Mikey and his car, the way Spitz acts, like he's immature
Yeah,
in every scene he's in. It helps. I think they might have been trying to be something like with the original Halloween, the other characters all seem authentic with the way they act.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas with this one, it almost seems contrived.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. Because you got the guy who dresses up like a ghost in the first one, and he has the glasses on and all that, and then it really works. And this one, it's like they tend to like to do this in almost all of these Michael Myers films, where at some point someone else is dressed like Michael Myers, and then they mistake that person for the real Michael Myers briefly. They tend to like to overuse that.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I didn't like the way that Spitz did it. I think that was not only a bad idea, but also a bad taste. I would think that no place would have a Michael Myers costume at all.
Yeah.
Especially considering the ideal of what that whole town is had to live through the year before, and then throwing a brick through the clinic's window at Jamie and stuff like that. I think that and that's one of the things I liked about Part Six when they said that Halloween had been outlawed in their town for so long. I thought I actually liked that concept. Like they just said, we're done with Halloween, you can't celebrate it. And Part Six is this is the first year they brought it back. I like that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
there are some great ideals in Part Six. I just think that some of the other ideals are overshadow the good ideals.
This was it with Jamie Lloyd's character. They're doing some kind of Halloween pageant at this children's hospital that she's in, and she wears a princess kind of fairy kind of dress. So she is dressed up again for Halloween. It's interesting the way that the cover to this one has Michael Myers and then Jamie Jamie Lloyd with the clown costume on, which she doesn't wear in this film. It's always been odd to me because that should have been the cover for the fourth one.
Mm,
I like the way that she's participating in this pageant, and that's around then's when she starts to talk again.
hmm Yeah. Oh yeah. So we didn't mention that. Yeah. So yeah. Jamie does learn to talk. She's gone halfway through the movie without talking, and she only gains her vocal cords back after saving Tina from being killed by Michael Myers at the gas station.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, but
just weird that Michael Myers would stop to let her get some smokes at a gas station. There's questionable choices. Uh, lots of questionable choices. Michael Myers stops to let her get some freaking cigarettes. We're not sure why he does this. We don't know why he just doesn't kill her in the car. Like she's not leading him to any place that he doesn't already know. It's just odd. It's just odd.
yeah, I
So.
don't. Yeah,
But Dave, what else about part five have we not discussed? Have we discussed the Men in Black enough? Oh,
well, we haven't talked about the very end of it yet.
yes,
I
yeah.
think that's. I was just going to see if there's something else. Before we get into that, I do want to point out the net we talked about briefly already. We
All
did do
right.
we recently did a review of the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, where they tried to drop a net on the mummy that was made out of a twine, and the mummy got out of that. But this one is a good net. This
Yeah,
is made out of some kind of metal chain, and
yeah,
Michael Myers does not get out of this net, and they actually capture him and put him in jail from it.
yeah. You're right. I did want to talk about that, and because it's an interesting way to end the film. It's not the way I don't think anyone was expecting that. I think in a slasher movie, they're expecting the slasher to get killed or something that bad to happen to him, like it normally does in the Halloween movie. But in this one, they capture him. Like they
Yeah.
capture him and they put him in a jail cell and say that he's going to go to a federal penitentiary where they're never going to let him out because he's just murdered like tons of people the previous year in that town and people this year in that town. Among all the other people he's
Yeah.
killed that
He
they're
was going to get at least 8 years in prison for that.
and then of course which is really cool but odd at the same time the man in black just strolls right into the police station I guess with some type of gun and something to start fires. I guess it's all hiding underneath his black trench coat.
Yeah, he has a
Trench coat
fire.
mafia.
Yeah,
Uh,
flamethrower under there.
and just lays it out on the cops there. All we see is the gun, the muzzle flare from the gun shooting everybody. Just go bullets going everywhere. We hear explosions. Uh, and it's really cool when I first watched it. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because back in the day, I wasn't keeping track of the time of the movie. When that happened, I was thinking I had, oh crap, I got like 30 more minutes of this movie. Excellent. Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah. And of course, they ended at the cliffhanger, which is what pissed me off for so many years as a film watcher because I didn't have a part six to watch.
well, it's and that last scene's done from Jamie Lloyd's point of view. She goes into the police station, sees the aftermath of it, and finds out that he's gone, and then she's kidnapped. Unfortunately,
Well, we don't know
yeah,
she's kidnapped until part six, but
yeah.
all we see her say, or she's whining, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
and the
Yeah,
movie ends.
yeah.
But as a kid, dude, I wanted to know what the hell happened to Michael Myers. I wanted to know what was happening next. I was like, man, I was like, dude, how do you end the movie like that? And it had me waiting 7 damn years for that fucking movie.
I don't know. That's a cool ending though. You can't have Michael Myers like incarcerated. He has to get out. And this isn't like the Hays production code time here.
Well, they do incarcerate Michael Myers in one of those new Halloween movies, I believe.
Yeah, with the Rob Zombie ones they do, right?
I thought it was like the first Halloween or Halloween Kills or one of the fuckers that they have Michael Myers in a penitentiary or some shit. I can't remember. I've only
Yeah.
ever seen the new ones once. I don't
I,
remember anything about them really.
yeah. I don't know. I don't
But
remember that. Yeah, I don't think that happens in the new trilogy. It definitely happens in the Rob Zombie ones.
mm, yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Zombie ones. I like the Rob Zombie ones, and we have discussed those in previous episodes for everyone who's listening. So please check those out at your leisure, especially during this Halloween holiday. But we do. I mean, this ending the way it is isn't something that was very common in horror films, much less any of the other films in these 80s. I mean, this is literally a horror film that ends on a cliffhanger. Like they're saying we're making another one, and you'll just have to wait to see what the hell we do with it. And then the movie went into development hell. Um,
Yeah.
among other things, because like we all know that this movie did not make a whole hell of a lot of money compared to the fourth one, and it went into development hell. They had several different names for the sequel before the movie Curse of Michael Myers finally came out. I still remember I think it was a teaser for Halloween 666. I don't know if you remember that. I think you can find that one on YouTube.
Yeah, Halloween 666. That's
Yeah.
like that's what they call the producer's cut of it.
Did they see? I've only seen the producer's cut once. I can't remember much about it. I need to rewatch it actually.
Yeah. They have it through the Scream Factory 4K, the producer's cut
Yeah,
in
because
4K.
when
That's
we did
good.
the episode for that, I watched the regular theatrical cut because I hadn't seen the movie in a long time. So I
Yeah,
just had to watch that one for when we did the episode for that film. But they are different, you know.
you're right. And yeah, I mean, this is a lot different. I mean, there's scenes in
Yeah,
both films that were reshot, and there's probably a good 30 to 40 minute difference of scenes in the between the two films.
isn't that
So
crazy to think
yeah,
that they reshot that much shit, and
yeah,
movies are so different.
right, yeah. I mean, it's cool to see the difference, though. I mean, I think it's a very interesting thing, and that was kind of the film that ended the original plot line
Yeah,
of the Halloween films, because from the first, the second, fourth, and fifth, and sixth film all followed the same story, same timeline. It wasn't until H2O that they rebooted everything, and I think they H2O I think ignores everything after part two.
yeah.
And then when they get into when they got into that new the new trilogy, then that ignores everything after part one because they don't want to make um Laurie Strode Michael Myers' sister. That they wanted to get away from that.
Yeah. And then of course the Rob Zombie ones exist in their own parallel universe.
Yeah. Something I was just thinking about is that Jamie Lloyd, his name is Jamie, and Jamie Lee Curtis plays Laurie Strode, and it's very aggravating when you're trying to talk about the characters. Because it's like I'm almost like, what, Jamie, is that really her name? They had to name her after Jamie Lee Curtis. That
Yeah.
had to have been on purpose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I always
yeah,
thought that. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
something. I would love to know the story of why Jamie Lee Curtis it wasn't in like part 4, or if they tried to get her for part 4, or how that all worked out.
I'm pretty sure they tried to get her, and she just didn't want to do another horror movie sequel. Like even if you're looking at interviews with, say, the actress that did Tina in this one, like originally when they offered her the well, it might be either yeah, it was Tina. They offered her like sequel rights, but she wouldn't sign the contract because she didn't want to be like pigeonholed into being in several I mean, horror films.
Okay.
I might be thinking about the actress that played Rachel, but as one of those two actresses, they didn't sign the contract to be in the sequel, so it was like sort of they didn't necessarily bring them back because they weren't sure if they would even come back.
Interesting. I haven't delved deep into contracts and stuff like that with actors, but I guess I guess for the longest time there was this bad stigma with horror films.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of actors maybe did one, maybe two to get their career started and then moved on. The horror genre is that genre where it seems like so many people get a start in the horror genre film and then they move on to bigger and better things. I mentioned Paul Rudd, who did
Yeah.
Halloween 6. But he hasn't done many horror films, if any more after that. I can't think of any more that he's done until like now with with the Anaconda remake, reboot, whatever the hell you want
Yeah,
to.
it looks like that looks to be a kind of meta and kind of comedy. But the horror doesn't have the stigma as much as it used to. But
No,
if you look at that time period, 89, it would have been a step back for Jamie Lee Curtis to return to that character. It wasn't until when she did return to the character that it was more accepted.
yeah.
It was more an accepted route for actors to do. Fortunately, because I really like horror films. I like seeing good actors in horror films. So.
Yeah, and well, the stigma on that now is even gone. I think dude, we're getting so many great actors starring in these horror films nowadays. It's ridiculous. So,
Right, right.
it's not I mean, we have high profile directors directing horror films now. Some directors don't even leave the horror genre now. I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
great what we're seeing
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And and we have everything now, like every extreme there is. And it's good to go back and watch some of these early the 80s movies, because as we've been discussing, this one doesn't feel like an 80s movies. It is, even though it's coming at the end of the 80s and into the 90s, it does feel like a 90s movie, 90s slasher film. And despite that, it's still one of those films from the 80s that people talk about, not only because it's in the Halloween franchise, but because it it helped pave the way for what we didn't want to see in sequels after this in franchises. Um, Although I do have to say that the longest running really fucked up timeline franchise is still Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't think anyone knows what the fuck they're doing with that franchise at all.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. I guess that they did the first three films, and then after that they kept rebooting, and I don't know, man.
no
I
one
I did like that one remake that has Jessica Biel in it. That one's really good, but I don't know. That I like the first one, the second one, and that one. But other than that, maybe the third one. I haven't seen that one in a long time, but I don't know.
who knows? We have only done the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre on this podcast. We have not done any more yet. So we will hopefully have to get around to those one day. All right. So any other words on this film, Dave? Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
I think I got everything in there. Talked about Tina enough, I guess.
All right. So for everyone listening, what we like to do is we like to rate the movies from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing and excellent. Where on that spectrum, Dave, do you put Halloween 5?
I'm going to land this one at about a 3.
3? I'm
Yeah.
Okay, a 3. I'm going to give it a 2, unfortunately. My thoughts on this went down after I rewatched it. I would have given it a 3 before I rewatched it, but now it's a 2. I find a lot less about this film likable for me to rewatch it again. But that's where I stand now. That does not mean, everyone, that you do not have to stop watching Halloween 5 if you love watching Halloween 5. By all means, it's Halloween. Go out there and watch whatever Halloween movie you want to watch, whether it is from this franchise or any other Halloween themed franchise. This is our month, a month of October, to enjoy everything that is horror. Now, if you're me or Dave, you watch horror year round and not just in October. And so if you're listening to this podcast, I hope that is how you enjoy your horror. All right. So from everyone here, Something Wicked Entertainment, I would love for you all to like, share, follow, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast and your favorite podcast app, Spotify or YouTube. Regular episodes of our show, Conversation in Horror, is every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And then we also have our brand new podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is every other Friday. So make sure to check that one out as well. From all of us here, have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode. And don't forget, have a safe trick-or-treating out there, everyone. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer, Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.